Hello. In this session, we'll be learning about reproducible analysis. What does that even mean? The benefits of the pros and cons of making our research reproducible. We'll also look back at the repository structure that we have created. Why have we created a repository structure like that? And we'll also look at what are some of the ways in R in which you can make your research reproducible. We'll basically learn a bit about R Markdown and how we are using R Markdown files for our analysis. So I'm currently at the project website. I'll jump directly to the setup section because that is where the whole essence of reproducibility lies in this project. Now the first thing that we are writing here, or the first setup instruction, before we are starting the setup, the reason we have this file is because when you are going through this course, you can download or you can basically reproduce whatever we are creating here, or you can do whatever I am showing you how to do. You can do it on your local system. So that basically means you can reproduce the research in your local system. Now that sounds very easy, but if you think about it, there a lot of things can break. Because I'm doing this on my laptop, I might have a different operating system, I might have different versions of the packages that I'm using than what you have. You might have some of the packages, you might not have some of the packages. The data sets that I'm using for the analysis might be out of date, or might not be the ones that I use to create graphs and maps, etc. So and also think about, especially in large scale research projects, nowadays there's a lot of talk about there are a lot of, like, people cite a lot of research, but then a lot of that research is not reproducible, or a lot of data sets are not available, or data sets are manipulated so that your research results tell a story in a particular way. So there are a lot of things people can do, and to kind of avoid these things and to make sure that people can trust the research we do, it's always important to make sure that we always make our research reproducible. Now we have talked a lot about reproducible as a word, but let's see what that even means. Now I'll give you a few examples of how we are ensuring that this particular research is made reproducible. So first, we are making sure that all the list of packages that I have installed on my system, I make sure that that the list is very explicit. You can go ahead, install those packages. Now you can use this function which you see here, or you can just install these packages one by one. That doesn't matter, but you should have these packages if you have to reproduce this research. The other thing, you should definitely have R and R Studio with you, and only after that you'll be able to install the packages. The other important thing is the data set. Now so let me go back to the overview page, and let me go back to the process in which we are a step-by-step guide to data processing. Now here we are. So how we are making sure that you can reproduce, or you have the exact same version of the data sets that I have, by making sure that the raw data is available, or the raw data is cited here. The code that is used to process that raw data is also cited here, and then the final data set is also part of this package. So these are some of the basic steps in which you can make your research reproducible. So again, summarizing, you should have the latest code. You should combine the code with the latest data that you are using. You should have all the steps that you take to reach or to process the data from the raw data. All of that code should be made available so that anyone who wants to verify your research can do that. Now, the second thing I would like to mention here is the structure of the repository. Now, this is also very important because documentation plays a very important role, especially when it comes to reproducibility. Now, you see here that we are following a specific structure in this project. Now, there's a directory, or you can call it a folder for analysis. There is a folder for code, there's a folder for data, there's a folder for docs, and there's a folder for output. Now, I'm not going into detail about what these folders mean. A lot of it is very self-explanatory, but I would like to share a bit about how we created, or why we are following this structure. So we are using something that is a new package that we have in R, which is called the Workflow R. Now this Workflow R package is so basically what this helps you do. So this is the website of the Workflow R package, and the links are available in the project website. But it will help you structure your project in a way. Now you can follow the exact procedure that is mentioned in this document. So you declare it as, so you basically install the package, you call the library, you just configure the package with your details, and then you start a project, which is as simple as workflow_start. This is a function that is part of the package. Now as you start the project, or when you will execute this function, it will create all the files that you see here. It will create all the files that you see here in this particular hierarchy. And that is the structure. So Workflow R package is used to provide a project a structure. So that is one benefit of using this package. The other benefit of using this package is combining the data, code, and the analysis in a very structured format. So for example, I'm again going back to the repo. If you see that the code, if you remember the constituency data processing code that we wrote for the analysis, now that code is part of this folder, which is the create constituency file.r. The analysis code that we will see going forward is part of the analysis folder. All the data sets that we are using in the repository are part of the data folder, and they are structured as either process data sets or raw data sets. And there's also a readme file which will help you understand what each data set is about. So it also helps you structure the types of files you have in a particular way, also helps you document the files. So I would personally recommend for all your projects, or for some of your projects, you should definitely try using the Workflow R package. Now we have looked at the data processing code. We also talked about a bit about reproducibility, but we haven't yet talked about the analysis of the data that we have downloaded or the data that we have processed. Now if you see here, I'll just quickly show you what is it inside the analysis folder. Now you see here that you have all the RMD files. Now what is this RMD file? Now you must have, or some of you must have heard about Markdown, which is a format in which you write your documents. Similarly, in R you have something called as R Markdown. Now R Markdown is a proprietary format, or is used inside of R, so you can't use R Markdown anywhere. You will have to use a software that understands R Markdown, so you can't just use any other text editor. Though you can write it anywhere, but only editors that are able to process R Markdown will be able to generate that output of that R Markdown document. So in this case, we are using R Markdown inside of RStudio. So RStudio understands R Markdown and will be able to process the results of an R Markdown file. So now we talked about reproducibility, where we said that it's very important to have latest data sets, to have latest code at one place. But it's also important for anyone who is trying to reproduce your results to see, okay, what is the analysis and how that analysis is using a particular piece of data, or how a particular piece of code is processing a data set. Now this is where R Markdown files are really useful, because, so let me just open an R Markdown file here. So let me just open this cast-wise constituencies.rmd, and we will go in the upcoming sessions, we'll understand the analysis of it. But for here, I just want to introduce you to how the R Markdown files are structured. So you see that R Markdown is a combination of data, code, and text. Or text is basically the story you are trying to tell with your analysis. So you are combining storytelling and you are combining data processing and data analysis in one file, and that is the objective of using R Markdown files for data analysis. So if you see, I have let me just zoom in a bit here. So I have the introduction section. Now this is how so imagine I'm writing a Word document. I start with the introduction, and then I move to some storytelling aspect of it, which is I start with an analysis. Now this piece, which starts with this particular line, now there is an R code here. Now the objective here is to combine the storytelling with the R code. Now this R code is used to generate a map. Now let me just open an RStudio document and open this file, which is here. Now you can see the file. Now the file looks very similar to any other R script. It's not different. So I'm starting with an introduction. Now whenever I have to start a code, I will, so there's a particular format of inserting a code chunk in the R markdown file, which we will look. And then you write the code. The code will so let's say in this case the code is used to create a map or create a chart. So whenever you execute this file, so the map or the chart will be inserted in the place of a code. So the final output, let me just show you how the final output looks like. So this, I'm again going back to the our project website and then opening the page for which is generated using this code, which is caste-wise constituencies. So let me just open this link number 2, the relationship between caste and seat distribution by political parties. So this page you see here with a like an index of sorts and a map, a table, everything, a graph which is listed here. Now all of this has been generated. From the R Markdown file. So that is the benefit of R Markdown. You don't have to create a separate file for data processing, a separate file for data analysis, and a separate file for visualization. Everything is at one place.